Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to World of Science. I'm so sorry that we had to miss Monday. Of course, there was a lot going on here in Georgia with the wild weather that we had. Hopefully everyone is safe, everyone is happy, everyone is healthy, because that was a crazy storm system that came through. But we are back on track now, and we are so happy to bring you another day of World of Science. And today, we are doing, of course, one of my favorite subjects, and that is weather. We're not only going to make a cloud, but we're also going to make it rain. We've got two separate experiments, very simple today for you, and it all helps us understand not only how clouds form, how we see them, but also how it rains and why it rains. So let's get started. I want to do the first one first, and I want to tell you the first one first. Of course we're going to do the first one first. It's been a long couple of days. This is what you guys need. So you'll need a jar of some kind. The jar needs a lid. I don't have the lid to this, so I'm actually using the top of a candle that I'm going to place on top of this. Just make sure that nothing can escape, no air can escape out of it. I'll explain why in a second. You're going to need some hairspray, any kind works, blue food coloring, and some warm water. And I have that on the stove right now, so parents, you will need to help with this experiment because this involves some very hot water. As soon as we get going, I'm going to explain why we need that warm water. For the second experiment, you'll need another jar or a clear container of some kind, some water on the bottom of it. That's just room temperature water, some shaving cream, and blue food coloring again. So let's start with our first one. And I'm going to take my jar. We're going to make a cloud inside this jar. So I'm going to put 2 drops of food coloring in the bottom of here. And I'm going to run and get the warm water. So you guys bear with me, and you can take a look at my beautiful sleeping dog. That's Elsie. She does not care about my science experiments. She just naps through everything. So I have some very warm water here. It's not boiling. That's important, because if it was boiling, then it's going to immediately fog up your glass here. But this step has to happen very quickly, and it's difficult when you only have 2 hands. So I'm going to pour a little bit of warm water into this jar very carefully until it's about 1/3 full. Take your hairspray, spray it in, and then put your cap with some ice cubes on top of that. And watch what happens inside your jar. And I'm actually going to take the top off of this in a second so you can see the cloud even better. But let me move this a little closer to you, to the screen, so you can see. I don't want to fall into that warm water, that very hot water. So we actually have a full-on cloud in our jar, which I was going to do that anyways, so that helps. But yeah, so you get a full cloud in your jar. So what's happening with this is you have your warm water. We have water vapor. It's an invisible gas. It's all around us. And when that warm air starts to rise, the air can only hold so much water vapor in it, so it starts to condense. It's condensation. It goes from a liquid, a gas to a liquid. And what helps that condensation happen is something called condensation nuclei, and those are also invisible in our atmosphere. It can be dust, it can be volcanic ash, it can be sea spray, some salt. It's invisible, but it helps the water droplets form. When we get so many of those water droplets, we can see it. And that's what is happening here. So we have that warm air, it's rising, and then we have that cooler air, and it helps us be able to see the cloud that forms. So basically a cloud is just a bunch of water droplets or ice crystals that are all together on that condensation nuclei. So you can repeat this experiment. Sorry that I dropped it before you got to see it, but hopefully you did get to see some of it. This is how experiments from home go. But this is a super fun one. It's super easy. And parents, make sure you help out with that one because, again, the warm water can be kind of dangerous. So let's move on to making it rain. And this one's a super fun one for especially some of the younger kids. I take this to preschools all the time, and it's very popular. So I'm going to put my water just in the cup. And then I'm going to make some nice big fluffy clouds with some of my shaving cream. Oh yeah, we got some good clouds here. All right. So what happens, we saw how clouds form. And it's basically just water droplets and ice crystals that are way up into the air. There's so many of them that we can see them. But what happens when we have too much water droplets or too many water droplets and we get super saturated? Of course, some of that falls back down to the ground. It's all part of the water cycle. So what we're going to do here is show you what happens. So this is a cloud. This cloud is not, there's no rain coming out of this cloud. This is our atmosphere below the cloud. And watch what happens. We're going to keep adding some moisture on to this cloud with our blue food coloring. And when this becomes super saturated, you'll start to see some of it come out the bottom in the form of some rain. And we're just going to keep adding. This one's a fun one because you get to add a lot of food coloring. It works the best if you have a pipette of some kind. It makes it a little bit easier. But look, we have rain in our atmosphere. And that's because the clouds simply just cannot hold any more of that moisture. So we get that rain, it falls back down to the ground. It eventually becomes water vapor. When the ground heats up, ooh, I got some blue food coloring. It eventually becomes water vapor when you have it evaporate from lakes, oceans, groundwater. The water vapor is in the air. It rises, it attaches onto our condensation nuclei, and then it forms clouds and the process starts all over again. So that's a simple way to talk about clouds and rain, and there you go. It's super fun and it's super simple, and it's all things that you guys can find at home. And be careful, don't be like me. I got blue food coloring all over my hands. So gloves or outside or something where you're not gonna make a huge mess, because this is really hard to get off. So Tim, do we have any questions? Awesome. Well, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Just let me know. All this will be online. And a little teaser of what we're going to do on Monday on World of Science is we're going to talk about crystallization. And we are going to make our own geodes. So if you're interested in that, if your kids are interested in that, make sure you join us on Monday, World of Science. For now, make your own clouds, make it rain, and enjoy the beautiful, beautiful day that we have outside. I'm glad that we finally have some nice weather again. All right, y'all have a great Wednesday.